Welcome back to r/neighbors from hell, where people share stories about their crazy neighbors. And if you're new to my channel, please don't forget to subscribe to join our amazing community. And without any further ado, let's dive right into the stories. The first one is titled "Racist Neighbor Called Me a Mail Order Bride and Tried to Run Me Over." Have you ever been truly disappointed by someone? Some people might be disappointed by their family or significant other, however for me it was my neighbor. While I won't be talking about specific races and skin colors, I would say that I am of Asian descent and moved to the United States with my family in my teenage years. It has been great living in the United States, and in my early 20s I have even met the love of my life. We dated for several years in my early 20s and ended up getting married while I was in my mid-20s. My husband is about 5 years older than I am, but he was truly one of a kind and always embraced my culture and where I came from. Last year we finally saved up enough money together to purchase a home together and move out of the apartment we were living in. My husband and I did not plan to have kids for a while, so I was honestly really excited to move into this house and enjoy it together for a couple of years first. The house itself was beautiful and it was culture shock, but we do not have homes like this where I am from. The front and backyard needed a little bit of work, but it was nothing out of hand. My brain went wild with ways we could fix it up and decorate it. Well, as soon as the next door neighbor moved in, she immediately started acting hostile towards us, actually just me. She was not super friendly towards my husband, but all of her comments were directed towards me. She was an older lady, and I hate to say this, but she was not used to seeing interracial couples. This was apparent as her microaggression towards me were clear from the beginning. For example, the second day we were moving in and bringing boxes in from the truck, she came over to introduce herself. However, upon introducing herself, she did not even say hello to me. She said hello to my husband, and then the first words out of her mouth as she looked towards me were, "What are you, a mail order bride?" I was so taken aback. While I had been discriminated against for being Asian in the past, I have never experienced something so blunt and rude to my face. I almost wish she would have said it behind my back. I did my best to brush it off. We were just moving houses and I really did not want any problems with my neighbor. I wanted to enjoy the neighborhood, so I did my best to ignore it. Of course, my loving husband told her that no, I was not a mail order bride and that her comments were not appreciated. A weak and small apology left her lips, but I knew it meant nothing. And I was right. Just days later, my husband was out with his friends, so I decided to get a manicure and pedicure. It was summer and extremely hot, so I was wearing shorts and a t-shirt. As I was leaving my front porch and heading to my car, the old lady from next door was sitting out on her porch. Upon seeing me, she proceeded to yell out, "Got a hot date, Miss China?" This was enough to make me run to my car and speed off. First of all, I'm not even Chinese and I found it to be very disrespectful. Even if I was, why is that a reason to dislike me? I tried to ignore it, but it really upset me. While sitting in the nail salon chair, I texted my husband and let him know about the incident. It was a really sucky feeling, because I felt like we were not even enjoying our new space together as much as we could have been because of this lady that we hardly knew. Well, the last straw was a few days later when my husband and I were out front gardening. It was a nice weekend day and our neighbor thought so too. She was standing on her porch in a pair of shorts and bra. When she saw us, she started yelling at me, and only me, stating that I was a terrible pet owner for letting our cat poop on her lawn. First of all, we did not even have a cat. We did have a small dog, but he was only inside the house or backyard with our supervision. She began to yell more racial slurs, asking once again if I was a mail order bride or if I was here on a spousal visa or something. I began to feel the most uncomfortable I've ever felt around her, and as my husband pulled us aside, he called 911. The operator even could hear her yelling in the background of the call. She told the police that she had no idea what we were complaining about and that she had never thrown racial slurs or insults my way. She said the only problem she had with us was our cat, which once again, we don't have a cat. I was beginning to see that this lady was really crazy. However, she gave herself away when she told the police that I probably spoke some Asian language, so I could not understand what she was saying. We argued some more and suddenly she completely lost the plot. She ran into her kitchen, came back with a knife and threw the knife in my direction while I was standing next to the police officers. While I was absolutely terrified, I was also glad that this happened while the police were there, because now they witnessed that she is a complete maniac. The police arrested her on the scene and she was led away in handcuffs. Guys, let me tell you, that was a huge relief and it made me so happy. Currently, the trial and whatnot is still going on, but she has been ordered to stay away from my husband and I at all costs due to a restraining order. I don't know if the justice system will actually serve justice, but I must say it has been really nice not having to live next to her. And yeah, ripe stars, I will never understand people like this awful neighbor. Why would you even want to get involved in other people's businesses like this? I mean, don't you have your own problems or something? I really don't get it. Anyway, if you enjoyed the stories about insane awful neighbors, then please don't forget to post some star emojis in the comments if you want to support my channel. Thank you so much in advance. This one is titled Awesome Revenge. So about 8 years ago, I am selling a used car. Engine light was on, the AC needed recharging and the fuel pump or something was out. I go to my local trusted sales site, ad goes up with a few pictures and the words, "I work weird hours, so I may not be able to accept a phone call. Please only text me." Yay, 2 working swings at midnights, right? That was actually college classes, but same thing for me. So a few days in, I get a pretty standard text. "Hi, I'm Matt. Is your car still for sale?" Matt is not his real name, but you get the idea. So text back that it is. A few standard texts about price, why is the engine light on, who did you get the quote from, I listed an approximate price on the repairs as quoted from my trusted mechanic, and whatnot go back and forth. The next day I get a text from him saying, "Are you gonna take all your crap out of the car before you sell it to me, or is that my job?" Unwarranted hostility? Really? WTF, man? He is not only the only interested party, so I text him back. "I'm not selling the car to you, so don't worry about it." I never said I would sell it to him, he never asked if he was the only interested party, and others were arranging test drives already. I did not need him and his less than full price partial commitment. And also the crap he was complaining about is 3 textbooks and a bag I keep clothes in. 4 things. This guy did not like to take no for an answer and starts calling and texting about how my car's paint is peeling. Which is true, but the pics and description said so. And how dare I ask so much, $1,000 for a piece of crap car. I started replying for a time, telling him he was not going to get the car, that I had other interested buyers so he did not need to worry about it, etc. And then things got personal. This site gave you the option to link to Facebook so you could post at both places at the same time. So I did that. I did not have my privacy settings turned down as it was still early into Facebook's absolute reign and I actually trusted them at the time. Silly me, I know. I had not anticipated that he would be able to find my info through the website's post and find my name, my location, pictures of my kid, my mother-in-law's orbit, etc. Surprise me, he did. He starts texting me about how I should be ashamed of myself for saying no to him, a muscular dude, and me being quite round female. He included a picture in one text and he was not the muscular built man he claimed to be. He looked like a beanpole with 2 ab muscles, so WTF, dude. He asked me if I even knew anything about cars or if I made the post while on my period, so I did not know what I was talking about. He texted that I should be lucky I was already married, or else he would come to my house and show me how a real man handles a girl like you. He got close but did not have an address, and the way my address pulls up on GPS, he would never find my apartment, thankfully. Small side info: since I was in college at the time and needed a more flexible schedule, I worked as a school crossing guard. Every 2 weeks or so we would go in to sign our time cards in order to get paid. This crossing guard gig was a hire through my local PD. Not all crossing guard gigs are the same, but this one was. During one of these visits into the office, I was using my phone while I was waiting for my boss to get to me, my name being low in the alphabet. I had not yet blocked the dude as it hadn't been long since this started and I was hoping it would fizzle on its own. I did not check my phone in class and choosing to turn it off to avoid ADHDing on it the entire day, and I was often flooded with several hours of texts all at once. What I saw on my phone drove me over the cliff. He started texting about pictures I had posted on Facebook about my 8 or 7-year-old son. He just majorly crossed the line. The cleanest version of his texts included things like, "Your kid is just as ugly as you are. I hope you don't plan on him leaving home to get a wife anytime soon." And how a smudge of dirt on his face from a day at the zoo looked like I beat him. "I did not sell you a car and you are taking out your rage by threatening to assault me and accusing me of beating my kid? Oh hell no." Apparently I was loud when I said what I did because my boss stepped right over to me next and asked what was wrong. Great person, 10 out of 10, would boss again. I told her that I was getting this abusive text from a random that tried to buy my car. I told her I was about to erase the text and block him, but she is like, "No wait, don't do that, let me see your phone." So happy I didn't delete them because this part next still makes my heart sore. I offer and she takes my phone, reading all the sick and vile things he texted to me. She tells me to wait until she has cleared the lobby of the other crossing guards, so I do. She then tells me to follow her behind the security doors at the PD station, still having my phone. I don't know what's happening, but I liked and trusted her, so I do. I follow her back to her office where she works on her computer, referring my phone on occasion. She asks if all I have is the phone number or if I got his name too. I tell her I only got a first name and scroll to the text where he introduced himself. A semi-uncomfortable amount of time later, she hands back my phone. Something to mention, my boss is not just administrative. I did not know it at the time, but she is a full-on lieutenant in the local PD. She came up the ranks from patrol, moving to a position where she exclusively investigated child/elderly/disabled abuse complaints before moving into her current desk position. Needless to say, she did not take people threatening harm to kids lightly. Because I had not blocked the number, I still had the text messages with the dude's name and she had used it to cross-search him and the phone number. Long story short, she knew exactly who he was. She said not to worry, but don't delete or respond to his texts anymore. She had it. If it got worse, I should call her or 911 as appropriate right away. Unconcerned and happy she had the situation in hand, I leave and go to class. When I am back to the office to sign my next time card 2 weeks later, I had several unread texts from the guy. I had filtered them so I didn't see them pop up and had not read them. I had sold the car for full asking price and all but forgotten about the entire situation. My boss tells me to wait for her again as she had something else for me to sign, and I again return to her office. She briefly explains what she had for me was an actionable complaint that she needed me to sign from my issue 2 weeks ago. I remember everything all over again. She must see my face because she tells me not to worry and that she cannot tell me what's going on more after I actually sign the form. So I do. Dear Reddit, this is the best situation anyone could have asked for. The phone number tied to many people as the provider was known for cheap self-service for those that were desperate for a way to contact people/services/employment. However, with the name Matt, again fake name, she was able to find out who was messing with me. She then got a driver's license, which led to an address, which led to a police report for possible domestic violence. Fall down the rabbit hole some more and you find out that this dude had 5 kids by 4 women and he was in arrears on his child support to them all. He had not been paying for 10+ years and it was in the neighborhood of $30,000 to $50,000 if memory serves right. However, he somehow just 2 weeks ago requested a title transfer for a new to him, quite fancy old car. I don't remember the kind, but think high-end car show, and massive insurance premiums. Being so far in arrears meant that my boss was able to place a seizure order on the car so it could be sold to pay back the child support. One of the baby mamas live in a state where fleeing child support meant you could have a warrant issued for your arrest. When she called the interested parties in that state to see if they wanted her to execute the arrest warrant, they said, "Yes, with much haste." That was a funny turn of phrase, so I always remembered it. One conversation later and my boss was able to determine that he was using the brother's social security number on his employment forms to avoid child support garnishments. This is all sorts of illegal, so he notified the guy's HR department so it could be corrected. They informed her he would be fired for fraudulently submitting false documents. She then told me about 4 days ago she had executed the warrant on the dude for felony child abandonment and that the state he was to be held for was already en route to pick him up. It carried an 8 to 12 year sentence and he still had to pay back his child support. I could have dealt with the comment, I could have dealt with the not taking no for an answer, even dealt with the cyber stalking. A little. But when your twisted minds okays you to bring my kid into the picture, you done crossed the line. If you would have stopped at no, you wouldn't be in jail right now. And the next one is titled Air Conditioner Revenge. This happened over Labor Day weekend this year. My in-laws are very selfish. They treat each other terribly and yet still get together for every holiday. Because I have no real say in telling my wife her family cannot come and visit us, my wife's sister and her kids came down to stay with us over the Labor Day weekend. That weekend was a record temperature for our area, with temperatures reaching over 100 degrees. The plan was to let all the kids stay in our travel trailer parked in our driveway while the rest of us stayed in the house. I have 3 daughters and the middle one is the typical introvert that just wants to be part of the group. My 2 nieces that accompanied my sister-in-law are basically crapheads that tell their mom how it will be and are never disciplined. Well, as kids typically act, tribes were determined and kids were singled out. My sister-in-law's kids decided they would take control of my camper and leave my kid out. Of course, this pissed me off and also broke my heart. My daughter is so kind-hearted and simply wanted to hang out with her cousins. Instead, they told her she should just sleep inside the house and they were going to take all the beds in the trailer. It sleeps 9, by the way. Just before bed, my sister-in-law decided to head to Walmart to get some snacks and conveniently left without my daughter, saying there just was not enough room for her. However, there was. This was the last straw. My camper is really nice and has air conditioning, TV, radio, kitchen, just everything. I snuck into the camper when everyone was not looking and yanked out the fuse for the air conditioner. I replaced it with a bad fuse and went back into the house. I went on acting like everything was good and told my daughter that her cousins were not very nice and she could sleep in our room with us. I told her when they left I would get her ice cream to make up for them being mean. And then I waited. The cousins went into the camper and went to bed. Within an hour they came inside and said it was really hot and the air conditioner was not working. I went outside and looked around like I could fix it and turned to them and told them it was busted and I needed to turn the camper in for repair. Told them they should pack up and sleep on the living room floor. They all had to cram on the floor and were pissed that they had to sleep in the house instead of the camper, away from everyone else. I let my kids sleep in it the next day when everyone left, 2 days before I fessed up to the wife what I had done. She laughed and said they deserved it. And ripe stars, with this we have reached the end of the video. However, if you still cannot get enough of my content, then I would highly suggest to check out my endless binge watch playlist, which will soon show up in the left corner of the screen. In addition, I would really appreciate it if you could not only subscribe to the channel but also turn on the bell notifications, which you can do by clicking on the little bell icon right next to the subscribe button. This will help my channel tremendously, and this will make sure that you don't miss any of my videos. Furthermore, if you want to see additional ripe content that I don't post on YouTube, then I would suggest to head on over to patreon.com/ripeyoutube for more than 50 exclusive videos that you will not see anywhere else. Thank you so much for your amazing daily support, and I hope to see you again tomorrow.